Response video to the Modern Mystic on Mystic Return number 1 on the brain game. Hopefully there'll be a part 2, because I think the end of my video I used a metaphor that I kind of liked. Like, you know, that the lizard, the ape, and the human are causing experience on a computer, let's say, a device that's monitoring their reaction to what they're seeing on a screen. So reality comes into all three of them. All three of them see what the ape puts on. They see what the human puts on the screen, you know, what they add onto it, and they add their own reaction to the full reality plus whatever the other two have thrown on the screen, and then they do their little bit on top of that. And it's this constant interaction. They keep reacting to each other's actions. And the consciousness, the thing we call us, is that screen, the finished product that is being influenced by these three independent characters, semi-independent, who are communicating to each other through the screen. And so if they get really smart, they'll look over the borders, the edges, and they'll say, oh shit, now I get it. There's an ape and a human who are making this mess on the screen. And then they might be able to, you know, in their lizard way, or in their ape way, or in their human way, come up with strategies to deal with what the other entities are doing, fucking with them. I guess I would sort of argue that the only one that can really do that is the ape and the human. The lizard doesn't have much chance of figuring out, you know, that there's other things messing with its screen. And the ape gets confused. You know. So anyway, I think that metaphor works for me anyway. Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep arguing about some of this stuff, I think, just because I guess it's more than just words that are in the way. So I was thinking of another metaphor instead of the Tina Turner and, you know, exploding thing. I was thinking more like a jack-in-the-box, except you don't wind it up. You know, it's just a box. And you cram crap in the box, close the lid, you let go of the lid, and, you know, Tina Turner pops out. So, you know, but we know that what goes on inside the box is not nothing. It's something. And it's refined over time by something. And this something, in my opinion, would be an argument that there, in my opinion, is an innate logic in the world. And that we discover that innate logic and apply it in terms of refining what our interactions are going to be. So we understand the rules of the game. So, simple way to put it, we decipher some of them, and we manipulate our behavior to fit within those rules. And the rules function on different levels. There's the physical level, hot, cold, wet, dry. Then there's the you know, human level. You know, compliment somebody, works better, you know, vinegar, sugar thing. You know, manipulate people through lies and bullshit. You know, and then there's the big picture thing that would be the humaner kind of strategy, where you can understand more complex values, where you understand, okay, they're all pawns. It doesn't matter. It's not a favorite pawn that you want to save on the chessboard. You know, you can put like favorite on one of the pawns and treat it differently than the rest of the pawns. You kind of understand that whatever you are, whatever brain you have, whatever capacity to understand or control mechanisms in the world, that there's really no point to have those mechanisms devoted to the one pawn. That the point would be to look at the whole game and say, can I do something for this game? Can I somehow apply my intelligence to make the game function better, not just for the one pawn? So I'd call that understanding knowledge-based. And I'd say that it's a reflection of what is a truth in the world, that once you've established something is valuable, and I would say that this suffering thing is valuable, that now you have to do something. Now it has an automatic ought tied to it. And because I think you want to drift to some sort of conversation again about how it all doesn't make any difference. And I think that's bullshit. I think the difference is in the truth, in the reality. Just like trees are an impediment to getting to the food, the value facts of the world are the impediment to getting to the thing called being more productive, or being efficient, being functional, being, yeah, I like productive, these are good words. There are such things in the world because there is such a thing as value, and maybe we're just going to have to keep disagreeing with that one for a while more, but I just think it's like the most obvious thing, in my opinion. I mean, I'm more certain of the fact that suffering sucks than I'm certain of almost anything else in the universe. I mean, I don't trust all the shit out there more than I don't trust the fact that value exists and that suffering creates it. The capacity to harm a sensitive creature creates it. But let's not get into that argument because we're doing this brain science thing. So anyway, yeah, so I mean, I'm not disagreeing with anything you said in the video, fundamentally. I guess I'm going to re-argue for what's also in maybe part of the video you didn't see yet, or you might have skipped over it because you thought it was redundant or something. But I think there is this mechanism in our brain that happens subconsciously that we don't, that we don't do the error checking consciously. That it does do it eventually consciously. Consciously we're given, there's something flies on the screen and the human can say, well, goddamn, the ape just perverted that pretty badly. He just took out the words and turned the sentence into shit because he doesn't like that word. Or something like that. Or the lizard just threw mud at the screen and covered up the whole most important part of the message. And so we can certainly get some feedback that way, but I think there's internal mechanisms that catch errors sooner than that and catch something that's missing. So I think there's like when we know there's a better way to say it, a better word, it's like I think obviously our brain has in our subconscious two versions of what it wants to say. And those two versions come through the process, and it's saying how come there's a difference between these two versions. And it's saying it because it thinks there's a word missing. And so it says, go find the words. Go find the right word, because neither one of these words work. So there probably is a right word. So go look for that. Something like that. I mean, there's this error checking. And then there's that times where we say, what was I just talking about? And it's like obviously we fell off the train. And obviously that happened subconsciously. And I don't think it happened because my arm twitched, because the lizard twitched my arm. I mean, I think I fell off the train because the brain got ahead of itself in terms of where it was going, and it lost sight of the direction, the goal, and it just got lost in a sidetrack, another subject, and it got all interested, and it reestablished where the goal was, and it kind of just forgot where the old goal was, and it just didn't put it in its pocket. It dropped it. Instead of putting it in its pocket to save for later. I just think the brain makes mistakes, and it has a mechanism to try to correct those, and part of the mechanism is, whoa, slow everything down, take a minute, let us do some more fucking around in here and see if we can clear up this spaghetti that we've got. We've got a whole bunch of knots and spaghetti, and we've got stuff coming in that are 5 minutes ago, and we got all kinds of crap coming in. We got to filter this. So just, yeah, smile for the camera or something. Do something stupid for a minute because we have to do some more processing. And I think that's the mechanism. That's all happening subconsciously. That's in the eddies. That's in the long way around stuff that goes on in our brain. There's long way around stuff and there's shortcut stuff, and that's the long way around stuff. It's going to redo it slower and more carefully and see if it comes up with a better copy. And how else to say that? So it's not it's kinetic in that it's stuff caught, it's still moving, it's still running, it's still processing. It's not just sitting around, but there's stuff moving at different speeds. That's wrong. Probably that doesn't fit with physical reality. There's stuff taking longer paths, and sometimes it has to go back to the beginning and start over, try again, and because the brain is modified through each second of time. The brain's a different machine. It's always changing, and it probably knows to take advantage of those changes and see if it can make it better. If there's some sort of pattern match, discontinuity, some problem. I don't know what its detector is made out of, but it obviously does detect when we say we need a word and we don't have the word, or we have a word and we're saying, no, there's a better word for that, and we want the word. You can see your brain saying, go find the fucking word. You even say to your brain, go find the fucking word. You know, and it's really inept at that. That's the funny thing, is that, you know, whatever it does subconsciously, it does really well, because most of this stuff comes out pretty coherent. So it's writing a pretty damn good script for me. And it's kind of amazing that when I want to ask it for something, you know, like a little extra butter or something, or just, you know, my fork has got spots on it. I mean, it's hard to find a waiter, and then when you find one, he sucks. I mean, you ask for a clean fork, and by the time you're just finishing your dessert, he shows up with your clean fork, you know, and you're like, well, it's a little late, fucker. So it is kind of funny. But anyway, I just mean that, you know, when we do talk about us, so let's say the us is just this veneer of consciousness. It's just the thing the stuff shoots back and forth through. It's the screen that all the crap is flopped on, and we'll call that me. We have to call the thing that is us something. I don't see any offensiveness in calling what our brain produces something. A me, a you, a it, whatever. A brain function. And what was see, now I lost, see, the goal just moved a little bit, and oops, gone. Just completely gone. You know, A came out, B got lost. So now I gotta go look for B. Okay, brain function. IU is okay. Screen. Yeah. Yeah, it's there. It's somewhere. Like, if I can find the key to it, if I can find the little, you know, if I can just open that door, it's all ready to come out, right? I mean, I already built it. My subconscious already has it, already made. I just got to try to find the right door to open so I can let it back in. Yeah. With the lizard, the ape, the human, something. It's something, the mechanics, the eddies have to open the door. One of the programs has to, something has to let it happen. Something has to release it. Something has to trigger the release of the blockage that has, you know, the code. We lost the code number. Somebody's got to punch in numbers until the right code number is popped in, so this thing can finish it can realize itself. And it's right there, right? I could just quit this video right now, and that whole track is just thrown away. Just, well, let that one die. You know. So, you know, it is kind of bizarre. Or else I can sit here and keep, you know, just pretending to make a video for a while my brain right now really is trying to figure out what the hell else I was going to say. I mean, it really wants to know. Yeah, screen, consciousness. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not implying, I don't think this is it, but it's as close as I can get right now. Yeah, that there's some thing inside of us that's doing the youing. It's the brain function. You put stuff in, the stuff gets messed around with based on, you know, 50 years of underlearning, of refinement, of sculpting, and it's thrown back based on that that tailored reflex. You know, it's been trimmed and cut and refined. It's not just a spring that throws stuff back. It throws it back in a coherent manner, coherent to the reality that has shaped it. But again, so like I said, yeah, I don't want to get lost in an argument about not knowing anything, because we do know something. And the knowledge is built into the structure. just as knowledge makes missiles that blow up and write names in the sky. The name isn't in the thing, the name is in the structure. And the structure was created by something that could make structure. And our brain is trained over time to make structure. To make structure that produces coherent end products. Coherent to what it understands reality to be. I mean, it's true that reality could be completely a distortion of our narrow human perspective. But I don't think there is a bigger reality. I think we're seeing all you really need to see. It's gas and elements and magnetism and gravity and weak and strong forces. This is what it is. It isn't anything fancy, meaningful, substantive. And it's only in a bizarre circumstance where it does this replicating thing based on a blueprint molecule that it gets funky, meaningful, relevant. Where something called knowledge could evaluate it and say shit in the sky. Yeah, something like that. So anyway, so yeah, just let me know what you, like I said, I like the metaphor of the lizard, the ape, and the human are not conscious. They're machines. They work a computer screen based on their programming. The lizard is the physical programming. The ape is the conditioned emotional programming. The human is the environmental, intelligent, learn language, conceptual programming. None of those entities are conscious. The consciousness is the screen. They're manipulating. And they're seeing each other's existence through what each other do to the screen. Good, I like it. Obviously the screen has built into it both feelings and thoughts. I mean, I don't know what's on the screen exactly. You know, whatever this shit is. Whatever I'm feeling right now, the doing, all of this, anything in this sense range, anything in the range of my senses is the screen. And one of my senses is that sixth sense of, here's a mental projection I have put inside of your brain that's inside, like right now, you said tits in your video, so right now I just put tits inside my brain, and they're just sitting there, two tits right, you know, it's not like in the way, I can still see the shit here, but I can focus on the tits too, I can see them pretty damn good. Nice. Yeah, that's what our brain can do. So it has these senses that we all agree on that exist, these physical ones, and then it has this mental sense that's doing the ouchy thing and the I see tits in my head thing. Okay, now it's enough video.